Welcome to the Business for Breakfast seminar series presented by Huddleston Bolen. Business for Breakfast seminars provide very practical information for business people on topics ranging from sales and marketing to customer service, employee relations, technology, and accounting. For information about upcoming seminars, go to www.huddlestonbolen.com/events. To view videos of past seminars, visit e4b-huddlestonbolen.com. Today's seminar is on guerrilla marketing. Our guest speaker is Thomas McChesney, Marketing Director for Huddleston Bolen. Co-sponsors for the seminar are Huddleston Bolen, SCORE, and the SBDC. So let's start just quickly by talking about what guerrilla marketing is. Guerrilla marketing is a series of marketing tactics, an approach to marketing that really relies on effort and creativity rather than money. You can't do it without money, but the emphasis is on using your imagination and your creativity and effort to overcome, in many cases, what competitors have with larger budgets. It is most effective when it is easy to understand, easy for the intended audience to understand. It is simple for you to implement, and it is, as we say here, outrageously inexpensive. What you see with really effective campaigns, they tend to be the ones that are the least expensive. And the converse, what we see is if you try to do something that has the flavor of a guerrilla marketing campaign, and you're going to spend a lot of money on it, it can appear insincere. It can appear overdone, and it reduces the effectiveness of it. There are kind of four key points that we'll talk about just to kind of lay the groundwork. First of all, anyone of any size organization can use guerrilla marketing tactics. Generally, the types of organizations that use guerrilla marketing tactics are those that are not the leaders. Al Rees and Jack Trout wrote a book years ago called Marketing Warfare, and they basically say that there are really three different classifications of people in a market. There's the leader, there are the two people who are contending with the leader, and then there's everybody else. So often when you think about using this, it's folks who are small, folks who are not the industry leaders, not the market leaders. They also suggest that when you think of yourself as one who is waging guerrilla war on your market, you have to think small. You have to think about defining your market in a way where you can be a leader and where you can defend. So if we were an auto manufacturer, we might not take GM on across the board. Instead, we would carve out a specific niche. For an example there, think about what Smart Car has done. The Smart Car manufacturing company doesn't compete across the board with major manufacturers. They do exactly what they do, and they've effectively defined themselves in a market, and it is big enough for them to make money, but it is small enough that the big guys can't or won't fight them for it. Rees and Trout also suggests that you, as the small guy, never be afraid to bug out. If the big guy looks at you and says, hey, this is looking tasty now, don't try to go head to head against them because you're going to lose. And finally, and most important, never, ever, ever think of yourself as a leader. The basic law of marketing is that the company with the most resources wins. It's very simple. If you are the company that has more money and more people and more will than the other guys, you are going to win time after time after time. When you think about that in a visual, if this is you and this is the other guy, well, you got a good shot, right? Because it's not a fair fight. It's like LSU in Western Kentucky. So the company with more resources generally wins. Guerrilla marketing seeks to change the playing field some, because what we're saying with thinking of ourselves as guerrilla marketers It's actually the company that applies more resources at a given point of attack that wins. And so you don't try to go up against the leader of a market, the leader of a line of business across the board. Pick an area where you can pick a very specific area where you can be a leader and go after that. That's kind of the approach. And so, with the visual, this is what we're talking about. Now, who's going to win there? Well, Western Kentucky, if they put the fullback on the, leading through a tight end there, they'll probably break through the line a couple of times and score some yardage, if not points. Okay, so when planning a campaign, first of all, be honest with yourself, and that's really for anyone, any marketing. Understand who you are and what you do and what you don't do. Again, think small, be creative, and be cheap. You will almost never hear a marketing person say be cheap, right? Because we do love to spend money. But, right, Jim? Right. Thank you. Amen. But when you're thinking about using guerrilla tactics, you really do have to think, how can we do this and do this very inexpensively? It'll put you in the right frame of mind. So now we'll kind of give you a few examples of some campaigns. And they're in your packet, and so if you can't see this very well here, hopefully it'll help. This is a hair salon, and what they did as part of their campaign to stand out against all the other guys was put a comb as like a laminate base on the road that looked like a comb where the crosswalk was. Now, it doesn't make much difference to me where I get my hair cut. I don't have that much hair. But if I were looking for someone to be a stylist, to be creative and imaginative with a hairstyle, and you saw that, it would almost cause you to at least give them a shot. It would put them that head above. And the other thing it does, it creates buzz. And that's one of the real strengths when a guerrilla tactic is effective, it is because whatever it is you're doing is creating buzz. And it's creating Facebook chatter, YouTube chatter at the restaurants, at the street, whatever, but it's creating chatter, and that's what this would do. You never really think of a FedEx drop box as a guerrilla tactic. But in 1975 or 76, when FedEx first deployed its drop boxes, it was brand spanking new in the market. No one had ever seen this before. But it started in the 40s, 50s as a freight forwarding company. And they kind of came across this idea of overnight delivery. Now, think about the 70s. Who in their right mind would pay extra money just to know that their package got to its place and got there quickly? You had the Postal Service. Everybody mailed things, right? Well, FedEx is doing all right. Part of the reason that they're doing all right is because they sent these things out across their target communities, and it communicated several things. First of all, it was a valuable tool for their customers, an easy place for them to go drop their packages, but it was also a billboard. It said to the customers, we provide convenient customer service for you, and it was a persistent reminder that we're there. It created the buzz. It got people talking. Okay. Can you see this? This is a campaign from a community that wanted to remind people to look before crossing the street. Now, you could spend a lot of money on producing a really good PSA, buying ads, full-page print ads in newspapers. You could do a lot of things and spend a lot of money to convey the message, hey, look before you cross the street, right? Or you could spend a few $100s for these stickers to go on a bus. And a couple people see that, they take pictures of it with their iPhone, they put it on their Facebook page, and blam, it's done. And this is one of those, kind of graphic, but it's one of those brilliant guerrilla tactics. There's another recent example. The Center for Disease Control, you may have heard about this, launched a website earlier this year. the CDC and Red Cross and many people talk about having trouble getting individuals and businesses to think about how to prepare for an emergency. The CDC created a zombie preparedness website to piggyback on this kind of cultural phenomenon of the zombie craze. And in the first days, they had hundreds of thousands of hits. In fact, it was a little too successful for them because it actually crashed their servers. They weren't prepared for the number of hits they got. It became a Facebook phenomenon. People checking this thing out. So for the first time, people were actually thinking about preparing in a fun way. It helped them convey a message. And let's face it, this website doesn't cost anything to do, right? Now, if you're going to have 10, 15 million hits a day, the servers, there's some incremental cost for the servers, but the website, it's just a website. You could put this thing up there for less than a few $100s, and you get the right buzz, and you're doing a great job conveying the message. Here's another example of one that I thought was cute. This actually was Folgers, and they placed these laminate signs on a street, and they placed them over manhole covers. The manhole covers, of course, generated steam in the winter, and so the image is a hot cup of coffee with steam coming out of it. Again, how do you not look at that? How does that not make you really take notice in a way that you just can't get with normal types of promotions? You can't get with radio and television. I mean, we're saturated with that. We've become very numb to it. The tactics that one would choose really are only limited by our creativity. You can do it any of 100 different ways. Using technology, not using technology, it really makes no difference. This one is a social media campaign. You might recall during the summer there was a competition launched by a company called PetSafe. They're the ones that, among other things, make the invisible fence and products primarily for dogs. They launched a Bark for Your Park campaign, and in it it was a prize. You competed, and at the end, someone won $100,000 for park. Fortunately, Huntington was actually the winner of this. What they got for that $100,000, plus the incremental cost of the website, which again is fairly nominal, was about 6 months of dedicated coverage in as many as, at one point, 400 communities across the U.S. It generated buzz and awareness that in communities across the country that they could not have purchased. I mean, it is inconceivable that they would have had the money to blitz the markets with enough promotion to generate this type of awareness. What they do, they spent $100,000 and got us to do it for them. And you know what? People around the country spent a lot of time and effort to broadcast the PetSafe name and brand and image so that they'd have a chance of winning $100,000.